down here at Stratco Gepps Cross with Phil again for the April Garden Live. We were just saying that we thought it was May, so time's getting ahead of us. Phil, how are we, mate?
Very good, yeah. So it's been a great autumn so far.
Yep.
Some nicer weather. Easter seems to be a little bit wet though.
Yeah.
But plenty of opportunities for some wet weather gardening.
Absolutely. So Easter is a big weekend, guys. SA stores, we're closed tomorrow, open Saturday, and then big sheds are open Sunday and Monday. So we'll have a link to the store hours that you guys can follow through and check your local store and come down, because the garden centres are looking stocked, mate. They are chockers. So all the stores are looking really thick at the moment, and lots of stock coming in for the people over the long weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we touched on it last month that autumn is probably the best time for garden centres. Plenty of stock available, great size, great value, and like you say, I mean, over the last couple of weeks, we've been having plenty of stock arriving. So yeah, there shouldn't be a shortage for people to choose from for this weekend for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Long weekend, guys, so there's so much time on your hands if you're not going away to get out in the backyard, start doing some gardening, preparing the garden, and plenty of planting to do as well. So to kick us off, Phil, what's been going on in the garden centre for autumn?
So I guess when you think autumn, you start to think about things like leaf drop and tidying up the gardens, and that's been a big thing for us in the recent weeks. It's starting to get a bit colder. You can see the sort of change in leaf colour and stuff like that, and you've started to see leaves dropping. So I guess the biggest change that we've seen in gardeners is what to do with a lot of that organic material that's dropping off. And I guess the best thing that we can recommend is to find a way to compost it all.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've got in front of us sort of a range of options that you can do in terms of composting, compost tumblers. We've got worm farms available now. A lot of the accessories to go with it. There's plenty of compost bins. And we've got all the rakes and the shovels, and the blowers and things like that to be able to sort of get all that material together.
Yeah. So for me, mate, composting is a brand new concept. Can you give me a higher level overview, and maybe for the guys that are watching that don't know much about it, of the benefits of it, and I guess how to get into it as well?
Sure. If you touch on, I guess, the benefits of it, nowadays people are a lot more in tune with using all of their waste. So whether that be garden material, whether that be vegetable material and cooking and stuff like that. So more and more people are trying to find different ways to use it, and composting obviously is the sort of the best thing for gardeners to do, because we can reuse that and put that energy back into the soil. It's quite an in-depth process to get into it, but the basics are that everything happens in balance. So when you're working towards your own composting idea, whether it be a bin or a pond, something like that, you just need to make sure that as you're adding your organics to it, that you're never adding too much of one thing. So a lot of the time, if people come in and say, I haven't been able to compost it successfully, when you break it down, they usually use something too much. So you'll see certain layers that you break down into, say, a wet layer and a dry layer.
Okay.
And if you do that in balance, then theoretically the composting should work for you.
Yeah. So is this something I could just dig a hole in my garden, place one of these, buffets here, and just get going? Just throw some organics in there, and that's how you get started?
If you've got small amounts of waste, that's probably a way to start.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the amount of composting you intend to do. I guess for those people that have sort of larger amounts of composting to do, a form of compost bin would be better. And even then, there's different types. There's the ones that you can sort of just sit on the ground, and you can add your products to it, and over time you can move that around the garden and turn it. You also have tumbling compost bins, so that I guess the concept with that is that every time you add something new to it, you rotate the compost bin, and over time that will work for you, and then you can it out nice and easily.
Yeah.
And live footage. Those ideas would work for you, to get the composting happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I think down the front here we got some of the elements that you need to get going with. So you got your shampoo and the conditioner, I believe it is, at a bedding block as well. So I've been told, because this is completely
And
new
this
to me.
torture device. I mean, crazy, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
this is an aerator. So
Right.
basically, for those larger compost bins, as you go through, and if you can't physically turn the soil, you can use a product like that to sort of wind in and turn it that way, and add some extra air to it to help the breakdown process.
Okay. Yeah, the more you know, I guess. I'll definitely be looking into composting.
Every one of the stores has someone in store that can run you through it, so no
Yeah.
excuses.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to a question we had last week from Cody around planting some veggies and things like that in his little garden that he's getting going. So what are we planting at the moment coming up to winter?
Plenty of stuff to choose from. So I think I mentioned in the answer to Cody that things like broccoli, spinach, cabbages are all available. And I guess touching on what is available, new to us just in the last week or two is a fresh range of seeds from the Royal Horticultural Society. So this is definitely available in all the big sheds and should be working out to the regional stores over time. So I mean, I was having a quick look through it before, and I mean things like, we've got spinach available, Brussels sprouts, cabbages, another broccoli. So plenty of new seeds to choose from, and it just gives us sort of an extra additive for people. So you can look at buying the seeds now. If you miss the opportunity to plant the seeds, later on down the track you could look at seedlings and stuff as well.
Yeah, all my favourite veggies right there and more behind me.
You did say that. I grabbed the peas off because peas are your favourite. So this will be the one I'll be handing to you after this show.
Yeah, I'll take
and
some of them.
I want to see that in about 6 weeks' time.
I guess my question for you would be, do sort of planting veggies in the backyard and composting, do they go hand in hand? Can they help each other out in any way?
Absolutely. I guess what you'll find is vegetable patches are seasonal, so it's a great idea to never use the same patch of soil like for 2 seasons in a row. It's always a good idea to try and move it around the garden. So what you can be doing is using your composting that you're doing to pre-prepare the soil for the next season. You don't really ever want to sort of be planting into fresh compost in case there's too much heat. It might damage the plant's growing, but certainly, with a thought on what's happening for next season, you can get the soil prepared for sure.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. And we touched on in the garden notes as well, citrus.
Yeah. So citrus is a funny one. So we've sort of got about a month left in terms of warm weather to be able to plant citrus out now. But for garden centres, citrus becomes available this time of the year. So we'll have our first batch of citrus coming through probably next week. I've already placed the order for Gepps Cross. I know the other stores are sort of onto it as well. So it'll either be next week or the week after that we'll see fresh citrus arriving. You've got about a month to plant it out. If you don't plant it into the garden in that sort of time, then you can either hold on to it and plant out sort of when the weather warms up in spring, or there's no reason you couldn't plant it into a slightly larger pot if you want to try and get the process of making them a little bit larger before springtime happening.
Yeah.
You can do that now as well.
Yeah, perfect. Well, as you touched on earlier, Phil, it is starting to get a little bit cooler in the backyard. The weather's not sure what it wants to do at the moment. One day it's hot, the next minute you've got rain pouring down. That's Adelaide weather for you. So catalogue's out now, guys, the big 4 sale. There's a lot of garden products in here at the moment, potting mixes, all your tumbleweed ranges, a few products from there and there. So some hot offers on there. But yeah, pick up a catalogue, guys, get down to a Gepps Cross, St Mary's or any Stratco store and have a look. There's a lot of plants in here as well at the moment. So there's a lot to keep you occupied over a long weekend if you want to do some gardening.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Anything else you want to add, Phil, on the way out? What are we sort of preparing for winter now?
I guess over the next couple of months, what you'll find is sort of a move away from things like mulching and It'll just be sort of about maintenance through the winter months. So it's still important to make sure that you have some sort of fertiliser on the ground. You'd probably be looking to switch across to slightly more organic types of fertiliser, so blood and bones, or your pelletised ones like Rapid Razor is a good idea to put down. It's a good idea, even in fact, this long weekend, I'd probably be saying it's the opportunity to look after your lawns a bit more.
Okay.
You want to sort of get, it's probably the last opportunity before winter to make something happen for your lawns. So I'd be thinking with the rain around for the weekend, that you'd be wanting to put some lawn food down at a minimum. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. I think I'll be doing a bit of that. My lawn's not looking fantastic at the moment. Still hasn't recovered from summer, unfortunately. So, I mean, as we touched on, it's getting cooler, guys. So, Stratco stores have got a lot of fire pits and outdoor heating for your gardens at the moment. We've got kindling and a few different offers on some fire pits, which you might see in an email coming out to you soon. So, just keep an eye out, guys. And as we touched on, the garden centres and chockers, huge range of pots come in recently that are just looking fantastic. Seedlings, everything, anything you could want. So don't hesitate, come down over the long weekend, guys. If you're not going away, we'll keep you busy. There's something for everyone. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Phil, for joining me. We'll see you again in May, which is May.
It'll definitely be May. From Gore, I think.
Yeah, we'll be touching on it now while we're here. Big event, Gawler's gone through revamp at the moment, so we'll be down there for the May Garden Live, just shooting down there, showing off the garden centre. That's looking pretty good, I've heard, Phil.
Yeah, it looks great. So finishing touches happening for the garden centre at least next week. So yeah, lots happening.
Yeah, check out the Facebook event, guys. There is one up now. We've got a couple of special guests, which I'll let you discover for yourself. Come down on May the 6th at Gawler. So yeah, see if you're free, come down and say good day to some SA legends.
Fantastic.
Cheers, Phil.
All right, happy Easter.
Cheers.
Thank you.